Hello everyone, welcome back to the Remediation. Today we have a reading. Before we start, my name is Remedi. I do energy readings, and if you guys are interested, you guys can use my contact information listed in the description box below. I have my phone number, I have my email, and I also have a website where you can book a reading on there. Your first reading would be free. That's just what I'm doing right now to kind of help build up my clientele. So if you would like to support me or the channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and all of those good stuff. So today we have a 45-year-old male, and I'm going to read to you the strawberry letter, if you will. So it says, 45 and I feel bored and done with life. I turned 46 this year and I've spent my entire life improving or getting better. I grew up poor and my family was in a shit ton of debt. I got rid of it and managed to settle into a better life when I reached my 20s. By my 30s, things worked out for me. I got rich through my business. After that, I did everything, traveled for a while, met a few women, got married, settled down. I maintained my health and I still look good. We love that. I have a wife and a son, and he turned 18 last week and moved out. I feel like I have done everything, and trust me, I have, from yoga to cooking to physical or mental hobbies. I have done it. Some of it feels good to do at a time, others feel boring, but at the end of the day, I just feel empty. My entire life, I have run towards this goal. It was to get rich, have kids, settle down, and now that I have finally achieved it, I just feel empty, not happy. I am constantly having thoughts of what's the point anymore. And if not for my family, I would not even flinch if you told me I was going to unalive right this second. That bothers me a lot. Not depressed, not suicidal, just extremely bored. So, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, especially like, the American dream. We're sold this American dream of like, get a good job, make money, meet somebody, settle down, have kids, the whole shebang. But nobody really talks about what happens once you are kind of settled in life. I feel like your 20s are meant for exploring and kind of like, that's like when your adulthood starts to, the foundation of your adulthood, as you can say. You get into having certain experiences and stuff like that, learning experiences. And then when you get into your 30s, you're kind of a little bit more seasoned and you're kind of getting into the hang of things. By the time, your 40s, you should be settled down, with money wise, and your career wise and stuff like that. But nobody really talks about what happens like once you start reaching your 50s and like reaching retirement age, and like what what that entails and stuff like that. So I at least don't really see a lot of people talking about it on the internet. Obviously, I do believe that more older people should definitely get on the internet and kind of have like their own discussions on how they find purpose later on in life when they are reaching retirement and things of that nature. But we're going to start off with the Psychic Tarot deck, and I'm just going to pull some cards. I feel like, and I mentioned this in a previous video before, that sometimes we kind of focus too much on money and stability, not even just as like a man, but just like I feel like in general we focus more so on money and stability, and we don't really focus on purpose, and we kind of prioritize money and stability over purpose. But I feel like both of them are, kind of go hand in hand, because when you really know your purpose and you know who you are, you just move a little bit differently in the world. So we're just going to draw a few cards, and I feel like it's important to really get to know yourself, and know like what you stand for. You dive into your belief systems, and life isn't just about you and your family. It's about like the world, right? The world that your child is was born into, and making sure that you leave the world in a better state for your child and for your child's children as well. I think that's important. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and draw some cards. So let's see what we have here. I kind of want to get into like what exactly he's feeling. So we have intuition here. Okay, we have movement, choices, and decisions. We have solar plexus chakra. We have light. We have material harvest. We have power. We have hope. And we have transformation. So a lot of the times we focus on stability and money and things of that nature. We also have transformation. I don't know if you guys seen this card, but we kind of focus on the wrong things. So I feel like what he's describing, a lot of people will, today call a midlife crisis. And I talked about this in one of my previous videos, that a lot of the times when you don't put purpose, your life's purpose, and I believe everybody has a life's purpose, but your life's purpose isn't owning, a mining company or owning a construction company. Like, that's not your life's purpose, right? Your life's purpose isn't working behind a desk. And I feel like when you do that for so long, day in and day out, and your days look similar, like literally you're doing the same thing every single day, you're like on a routine. Because even me, I'm still young, and I kind of got tired of like the same routine every day, even though I do enjoy having somewhat of a routine as far as like a morning routine and a nighttime routine. But doing the same exact thing every day, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, I just find that to be absolutely like crazy. And I feel like a lot of people feel this way, like they're stuck in like this loop. And when they're stuck in this loop and something changes, like he mentioned that his 18-year-old son moved out, when something changes and kind of shifts, and you lose that sense of like responsibility. Like, I feel like, a part of your life's purpose, if you are a parent, is parenting your kids, obviously, but eventually they're going to grow up to be an adult. And I feel like that's something that people don't really prepare themselves for or talk enough about when they have kids, is that when they move out and, you're on your own and they're no longer under your roof, you kind of can't, you can't like tie your identity so much to things that you don't have control over. Like, you can be like, oh yeah, I'm a parent and I've been a parent for 18 years. I've been a parent for however long it takes for your children to move out. You can't tie your identity so closely to things that are bound to change. But life's purpose usually never really changes, right? So when you think about like, when you ask little kids like what they want to be when they grow up, and some people will say like, I want to be an artist, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be, this, that, and the third. A lot of the times, especially when they choose things like artist or like things that aren't like super like matrix coded, it's like deeper. It's more like of a life's purpose. It's more so like, it has something to do with helping people or saving people or inspiring people and stuff like that. And I feel like it's important to kind of tap into like what you enjoyed doing as a child. Try to tap into who you were as a child, or what you would be doing in the event like life didn't demand you to adult, I guess, per se, in the sense of like paying bills and paying taxes and doing the whole boring adult thing. Is just like, try to tap into your like child like energy a little bit more, so that you can find more purpose and find the things that you really want, and find who you truly are and stuff like that. So that's why the movement, choices, and decisions are here. In this picture, you can see that there is some coins in the picture representing his finances. There's those 2 rings representing his marriage. And there's this flower, I think, this green little flower, probably representing his son. And then there's this blank space, that's just You know what I mean? And I feel like when you identify too much with your job, with your, being a husband, being a father, I feel like when those things are no longer, you can kind of question like who you really are and what your purpose really is. You know what I mean? So that's why the solar plexus chakra is here. It deals with willpower and, sense of self and identity. And the light card, I mean, I'm not gonna explain every card, but like, I'm just trying to show y'all how I'm reading it. But the light card is here because you're kind of like starting to figure out who you really are, your inner light, right? And material harvest, after you figure that out, you will start to manifest your own set of like your own personal happiness that doesn't really have anything to do with anybody. Like, you have to sometimes figure out who you are by yourself, and I feel like maybe it's time to kind of like enter a period of like a little bit of isolation. You know what I mean? Not completely abandon those people around you, but just kind of like go within to kind of figure out what it is that you want. Power over movement, choices, and decisions. So I feel like with the solar plexus chakra and the power chakra, I feel like you feel kind of like out of control with your life and how it's going. You feel like you're not really in control of your life. You feel like that you want more to life and you're hoping for a transformation, which is this card right here. You're hoping for a transformation, and you just have to be patient with yourself, like I said before, and try to tap into your inner child energy and what your inner child would like. Like, you know how like when you were younger, you had like your favorite superheroes, or you had your, idols that you looked up to. Try to tap into that, and try to embody that. Try to become somebody that your kids would look up to, something like that. Not just like a regular business guy or go to work type of guy, but just like, you're more than that. Like, us humans, living in this matrix society, in this matrix world, a lot of us, our purpose is not to just work for some Fortune 500 company behind a desk, sitting at a desk all day, to go home and pay bills and then just kind of breed the next generation of workers. Like, we have more purpose than that. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's kind of what's happening in this midlife crisis situation, is that you're hoping for a transformation, but really that this transformation can only come from you, and you only have the power to make that transformation and to make that choice and decide who you're going to be, because you're not old. Life is just beginning really for you, because you don't have to worry about paying bills or worry about a career. You're kind of over that hump that a lot of 20-30 year olds are still like figuring things out, especially in this time. So you have a lot more free time. Like, you're already settled in with life. You don't have as many responsibilities anymore since your son is moved out. So, it's an empty space for you to channel new energy and new experiences, and search for truth or whatever it is that you care about. Find your inner passion. So without saying any more than that, I don't want to go on and on, but that's pretty much what I'm getting there. We are going to pull an advice card from the Modern Nirvana Oracle deck really quick. Let's see what we have. I'm just going to pull one. Okay. Teachers. Oh my gosh, I love this card. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So, this card, I love this card. Basically, what this card is saying is that maybe you are now entering the stage of like becoming the older generation. Like, I feel like there's 50 and under, and then there's 50 and plus, and you're transitioning into the 50 plus group, where you're now no longer a student of life, you are now a teacher of life. So it's important that you kind of gather all of the information that you've accumulated in your lifetime and go ahead and pass it down, if not to your kids, teach somebody else, become a mentor. A lot of men, especially a lot of young men, do not have good role models nowadays. So maybe it's a it's a perfect opportunity for you to embody a good role model that you would want your son to look up to, etc. Right? So yeah, this is good. This is a good one. But yeah, a lot of these young men need mentors. They need mentors. They need positive role models. They need positive idols to look up to. So I think you should focus on embodying that, sharing that. You know, we're in the age of the internet. I would try to, maybe get together with your son and try to, get onto Instagram, TikTok. I feel like, especially now in this day and age, everybody's on the internet, and I feel like that's kind of inevitable. Unfortunately, I know like a lot of people aren't really into that. A lot of older people don't really like that, but that's just kind of where we are. And even me myself, like I'm trying to like keep up with all of the trendy stuff and stuff like that, because honestly, it's gonna be in a minute where if you're not online, then do you really exist? You know what I mean? So like utilizing an online platform to teach young men and young, adults, I feel like would be a great avenue for you to kind of find a little bit more purpose and stuff like that. And yeah, I think you would enjoy that a lot. So that is the end of this reading. If you guys resonated with it, please drop a comment drop a comment in the comment box below if it resonated with you. Like I said before, if you're interested in getting a personal reading from me, I will have my contact information in the description box below, so you guys can check that out, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye.